Hello and welcome to Real Watchers Movie Club. My name is Garrett,
And I'm Kevin.
and we are your co-hosts. Movie Club is a show where we pick a movie every week and discuss it just like a book club. On today's show, we are covering the classic prison drama, Cool Hand Luke. Our thoughts and more coming up on Movie Club. Released in 1967, Cool Hand Luke was directed by Stuart Rosenberg and stars Paul Newman, George Kennedy, and Luke Askew. When petty criminal Luke Jackson is sentenced to 2 years in a Florida prison farm, he doesn't play by the rules of either the sadistic warden or the yard's resident heavy, Dragline, who ends up admiring the new guy's unbreakable will. Luke's bravado, even in the face of repeated stints in the prison's deadly solitary confinement cell, the box, make him a rebel hero to his fellow convicts and a thorn in the side of the prison officers. The film currently has a 4.2 out of 5 on Letterboxd. The film was nominated for 3 Academy Awards, including Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Original Score, and Best Actor for Paul Newman. It won 1 Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for George Kennedy. Before we dive into this film, though, we do want to issue a spoiler warning for the film. We're going to spoil everything that happens in this movie because there is a lot to talk about. We'll be discussing everything that happens, so if you don't want to know what happens, go watch it and then come back. It's really not that hard. But stay tuned to find out what movie we're covering next week at the end of the show because it's going to be a great one before we get to our 100th episode. Now, it is also important to note that you may not have heard me mention that this movie was anywhere on IMDb or Letterboxd top 250 lists at the beginning of this video, and that's because we have scheduled this video out, some months ago, and some months ago it was on the 250 for either one of those sites, and since we have scheduled it, has dropped off the 250. So that is why we haven't said anything. So just so you know. Okay, Kevin. So Cool Hand Luke was, I believe, your choice this week.
Yes, that was my choice this week.
So, a great movie, but why Cool Hand Luke?
So I chose Cool Hand Luke just because I saw the Steelbook come out when it came out at Best Buy. Best Buy doesn't sell Steelbooks or movies anymore, so let's just put it that way. How long it's been, but and it looked like a really cool, just kind of I don't want to say I'll say it like a chill movie, like of. I want to know why they call him Cool Hands Luke and stuff like that. So that's why I chose it. And I did see on Letterboxd that it was getting some good reviews and all that stuff. So might as well check it out.
All right. Yeah, this is a movie I have heard of before. Everyone's heard of Cool Hand Luke. Everyone has heard the line, "What we got here is a failure to communicate." Everyone knows that line. It's a relentlessly quotable film. Like, everyone knows this movie. So wasn't too surprised to see it pop up on our list. I had never seen this movie before, so I was excited to finally check it out. And obviously it was Kevin's first time as well. So let's go ahead and dive right in. I really enjoyed this movie. How did you enjoy it?
This is Newman's. Well, I don't think I've watched a lot of Newman movies or anything like that, but he was fantastic in this movie. I really got enthralled into his character, but I also loved the nowadays they call them the pit bosses, the that runs the whole jail pretty much, and that's what I don't know how to say his name. Dragon something.
Dragline is he's not the warden. He's the big dude in the convicts.
Yeah. They call them pit bosses now. Is in jail.
Oh, he's kind of like the heavy, if you want to think about it that way.
Yeah, like that. I really enjoyed his character too. How he doesn't give a crap about Luke when he first comes in, but then Luke starts gaining his trust in what he does, and every time Luke fails, he sees that, and then he wants to provide Luke with what he can to help him he's trying to escape pretty much. And every time he comes back from it and he escapes, they ask him how far he's been, not how did he get caught, which I think is really cool as well. It's not his fails that they want to hear about. They want to hear about how he succeeded on how far he went.
Yeah, likewise, I think the performances are very strong here. I obviously there's the Oscar nominations and win. What was crazy to me is that I've only seen George Kennedy in The Naked Gun.
Oh, okay.
which is nothing like this role. That movie has this movie has him more the muscular, like the heavy with a heart of gold type, and in Naked Gun he's just this overweight police chief who's hysterical. So and he's got range. I do think that he and Paul Newman are both incredible in this movie, and they're great together too. Their chemistry is fantastic. I mean, for 1967, there's definitely some homoerotic undertones in a couple of these things, but they did fantastic. Also, I need to look up the actor's name who played the captain. Strother Martin is like not that scary of a guy, but he was
intimidating.
He's intimidating for sure. I mean, all the actors who play the bosses, like the prison guards, they're all like, everyone in this movie is fantastic. Like, no one in this movie is not acting at the top of their game. Like, they know what this is going in, and that's what's really something special about it. But I do think that just the main two, George Kennedy and Paul Newman, are absolutely fantastic. I was going to say this is the first Paul Newman movie I've seen, but that's a lie. I did see, obviously he was in Cars 1 and 3 because he played Doc Hudson. But then also he was in Road to Perdition as well, which is a gangster movie with Tom Hanks, which is really good. But yeah, like, I was blown away not only by the performances, but then like the way that it tells its story. And I think that prison dramas get a little Shawshank Redemption is one of those movies that like everyone thinks is a good movie, but it's definitely like it was overplayed on AMC and it just kind of became overhyped, right? This is one that you always heard quoted, but was never really playing anywhere, at least when I was growing up. So I never really got to see it. And like, this is, I think, probably off the top of my head, the best prison movie that I've seen.
Very cool.
Because it's different. It's not really a prison. It's a prison camp. This is more like a concentration camp than it is like a prison, because of like the bunk situation in the houses, the guard towers. Like, it feels more like a concentration camp than it does a prison, which is something kind of crazy. And obviously there's the forced labor, which, that's something that's still unfortunately relevant today, is prisoners being forced to do essentially slave labor. And which is a huge problem with the prison industrial complex. I'm not going to say like I know a whole lot about the prison industrial complex, because there are people who know a lot more than I do. But it definitely still feels relevant, which is what's really interesting. But I really want to talk about the story with this movie, and we kind of, Kevin, you and I kind of touched on this earlier. And I think like kind of the allegory and a little bit of the meaning that you can find in this movie. And sometimes it's overt and sometimes it's more subdued, but I really think this movie is a kind of a version of the Christ story and a version of, basically Luke is Jesus in this movie.
I mean, you started talking about it, and before we started this recording, and you pointed out some things, and that's exactly, I was like, oh yeah, okay, I can see that. Oh, all right, it's getting more like it. Oh, this is definitely it.
Yeah, there's a lot of those moments. I think the most overt ones would be like the egg eating sequence, when he's eating all those eggs, and at the end he's then sprawled out like Jesus. He's got the feet in the position where you can nail them, and the arms outstretched. That's probably the most overt thing. But then also at the end, he's not proven to be like a man of faith, but he reaches out to in this instance the Christian God, like in that kind of like last ditch, like, what is my purpose? What's my meaning? Am I doing the right thing? Kind of a thing, which is one of the things that Jesus did towards the end of his life as well. And then obviously ends with his sacrifice. Luke dies, as we're led to believe that he dies. There is a moment at the end of the movie. Like, did you pick up on the moment at the end? when he's
I
shot
couldn't
at the
remember,
church.
to be honest with you.
Yeah, so he's shot at the church, and
Yeah.
then he's definitely injured, and the cop, not the prison guy, the cop is like, oh, we'll take him to the hospital, and the captain's like, nah, we'll take him down to doctor or whatever, just so they can let him die. But when they're driving off into the distance, there's a railroad crossing sign that's green, and when they pass by it, it turns red.
Red. Oh, okay.
And I think that means that
I did not notice that.
I had to rewind it like 2 or 3 times, and I was like, wait a minute. Oh! So, but I think that what's also nice about that too, right, is in that Christ allegory, right, you know, in the Christian religion, Christian mythology, however you want to look at it, Jesus put together his group of apostles, people he became very close with and became kind of like followers. So in this film, obviously Luke is not putting together a religion. He's not trying to create followers for any kind of purpose, but he makes friends with everyone that's in there, and they all grow to respect him and admire him. And that definitely mirrors the story of Jesus putting together his group of apostles, for sure. But then you also think of, like, you know, Dragline becoming his version of Peter, or any other of the closer apostles. And so, like, it does feel as like a either a metaphor or an allegory, however you want to look at it, for that story. And there's definitely symbolism and parallels. But, you know, I think that just kind of helps to further cement the idea that, you know, there can be, and I think that there is a core message that I walked away from this movie with, which is that there can be good people that have done bad things, and they're not bad because of it.
Yeah.
There are also bad, you know, good people that do bad things, and they are bad because of it, right? Which we get with the prison guards and stuff like that. Like, it flips the idea on its head, and this is right at the end of the Hays Code era, right? Like, it's crazy to see prisoners and people who've done crime portrayed in such a positive light, and people who are enforcing law or whatever being portrayed in a negative light, which just kind of feels like an interesting. This is one of the films that probably helped change the course of that and get rid of the Hays Code. So yeah. As far as any kind of like criticisms, though, I do have one, and I think that the movie is pretty perfectly constructed. I wouldn't say that it's too long or too short. I think it's just the right amount of time, just over 2 hours long, and but I do think that there is a little bit of slowness in its first act.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that, you know, until we actually get to the point where he is kind of ingrained with the prisoners and has become friends with them, you know, when the movie starts to pick up is there, right? Not that this movie is bad in the beginning by any means whatsoever. It's still great in the beginning, but I just think that it gets a little too, you know, it could have pushed the accelerator just a tad, you know, like maybe a little bit more quick to get to the fight between Dragline and Luke, and then kind of how he starts to respect him, you know. And I think that maybe that could have, you know, maybe that's 2, 3, 4 minutes cut out of the movie that I can think of. But honestly, that's really the only criticism I have of the film. Was there anything that you didn't really like, or is that kind of?
I would say it wasn't long, like we were just talking about, but some of the stuff I think maybe could have been left out. Like, I get when he has a visitor and his mother, but his mom is dying, and that sets up. I like one of the sentences. I think the guard says, I might get this wrong, but it's like only a man who has grieved before with their mother's loss will know what he's going through. It's like something like that along those lines, and I really enjoyed that line, but it's like, I don't know if that was deemed necessary to be in this movie, just because it doesn't make his character like a better character in the end. It was just a situation that happened.
You talking about the death of his mother?
Yeah.
Interesting, because I think that's one of the key parts of his character. That's the whole reason why he starts trying to escape, because he realized what he's been missing while being locked up. His his choices have led to the fact that he's not able to see his mother before she, well, obviously he saw her before she died, but he's not able to be with her. He's not able to go to the funeral. He's not able to, like, to attend. Like, he's that's what triggers everything. Until then, he's doing pretty well at the prison. Like, he may be mouthing off a little bit to the guards, but he's not, like, on their bad side by any means. So I mean, even, like, what I did also really appreciate was that the guards at least show him some sympathy.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
But it's the captain who's like, nah, that the grief can do things to a man that I don't want to deal with. And he puts him in the box. Which is like, why would you do that? Like, if anything, like, let the guy, like, go, like, under supervision to the funeral. Don't lock him up in solitary because
I think it would have been. I think it would have been a more shocking shock value if he just gets a letter saying his mom died, and that's no, like, not even get the visit from his mom. Just have a letter.
Oh, well,
and then that could have been like, what am I doing here? Like, I missed out on her.
Sure,
like,
but
what I mean?
Like, I think having her show up, though, because they're not very close, it sounds like, at the beginning, but it sounds like they do reconcile a little bit when he's visiting with her, and maybe that could be enough to make you question everything. Like, it's even if you're not close with your parents, if losing them is gonna crush you. So, I understand it both. Like, I understand what you're saying, but I do think that it was just a little too important to the story to be something that could be cut out.
Yeah, I understand too. Yeah.
All right, Kevin, so this was your pick this week. What did you think of Cool Hand Luke? What's your final score and final thoughts?
My final thoughts is this guy's cool. He's just a cool guy. I don't know why his hands are cold though, but we'll hopefully get to that in the next one. Cool Hands Luke. Yeah, no, didn't go off. All right. But I really enjoyed this movie. This is one of Newman's best performances, I feel like, but I haven't seen a lot of his other movies, so I can't kind of tear it up to there, but I really enjoyed his performance, and hopefully we get to see more movies from him that he is acting in, because this is fantastic. I love the prison drama aspect of this movie as well. Just what he has to go through just to get their approval, or for Dragline's approval in the system, and even get some sympathy from what we were talking about with the warden and the boss and the captain and everything like that, and everybody else who is in the prison as well. I do love the escapes in this movie, how intricate they were. But at the end of the day, it's just a great film with great acting between the two main characters. So I gave it an 89 out of 100, which is 4 stars out of 5.
All right. For me, I thought this movie was, no pun intended, it's a real cool movie. But it's also got some really deep themes, an allegory to the Christ story, and then also some deeper messaging about who's really a good person. Is it the people in charge, or is it the people who are under the people in charge? I would say that it's got a little bit of poor pacing in its first act, but other than that, this movie just gets going and it does not stop. And it has incredible performances from Paul Newman and George Kennedy. And so because of that, I gave it a 92 out of 100, which is a 4.5 stars out of 5 on Letterboxd. But of course, the question now falls to you. What do you think of Cool Hand Luke? Go ahead and leave those comments down in the comment section down below. But remember, be respectful of one another, because that other person may be a dragline and they may try to beat you up. But next week, we'll be covering the classic comedy, really a satire, The Great Dictator. So can't wait to talk about that one. Make sure to watch it before next week so you're not spoiled. But then that's it. So thank you so much for watching. Of course, this goes live every Friday at 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we have our weekly live stream, which goes live from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to whenever the heck we finish, where we go over movie news, reviews, and so much more. But then again, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, make sure to keep your eyes on the screen.